Have you ever felt like you work really hard as a creative professional and you don't see the results that you expect? Most creatives get stuck not because they lack talent, but because they haven't learned the complementary skills required to grow as a business. And that's why I created the Fresh Ideas podcast, because I believe that artists who pair their craft with business knowledge never starve. And in this show, I bring guests to share inspiration and practical tips and new perspective that you can apply in your creative life and business. See it as a cookbook where you will find recipes for success that you can try today. I am your host, Alejo Porras, and today I am chatting with Carly Kerndt, and this is the menu for today. What to do when no one hires you. Strategies to market yourself. Going from provider to partner, and how to turn clients into champions. Hello, friends. I'm here with Carly Kerndt here. I met Carly earlier this year at an amazing conference. We hit it off from the beginning and we started geeking out about processes, operations, and all that stuff. She's not per se a designer, although she has done design, but her area of like shiny, I guess, it's just managing things. So we're going to talk a little bit about things that she does, managing an agency, things that have helped her out. And I'm just super excited to be talking with you and just, catching up after so long. I don't know, it's been like 6 months or something like that.
I
But
know.
yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm super excited to catch up. I always love meeting and talking to other creatives. Like you said, I'm not a designer myself. So I think of myself as like Canva creative, like a little bit, but barely. So I always love talking to other designers and just hearing about them and all the things they work on. So it was so great to meet you at that conference. And I had a blast there, and it's been good to stay connected with you ever since.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember your story. We might dive a little bit into how you
Mhm.
ended up doing what you do right now, which is fascinating and very bold. But before we start with that, I like to start with this question because it sets the tone of excitement on the things that are going on with you in your life. So, what are you most looking forward to in the next maybe 6 months to a year?
Yeah. So professionally, I am doing a keynote speak at another conference coming up. It's called the Circles Conference. There's one for sort of two tracks you can do, one for designers, one for film. So I'm really excited to speak there. My session is titled How to Not Hate Everyone That You Work With. So it's a lot on just like understanding personality types, both like team members and clients. And so I'm really excited to do that professionally. And then personally, I just ran or completed a half Ironman like 3 weeks ago, and I'm training for the Chicago Marathon in October. So very much looking forward to some big races this year as well. I always like to share. One of the things we do at FlyDog at the agency is every Monday we do a team call and we share personal wins and professional wins. So thought I would share a similar sort of sentiment here as well.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. Iron Man, that's badass.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah, it's just a
fantastic.
half, but it was still quite the journey.
I'm out of air at 200 meters, so like I just have a respect for that. Um, Before we move forward with this, actually, I'm gonna show you a book because last time we spoke, I recommended you a book. I don't know if you've had
Mhm.
time to read it, but I'm recommending you another book now because I met the author recently, and you might be aware of this. For those of you who are not seeing,
Ooh,
it's called "How to Work with Complicated
write
People"
it down.
by Ryan
Love it.
Leake. Um, and yeah, it's full of insight. It's very well designed. So of whatever aspect that you feel more drawn to, but just like the topic, I just feel it's like very
Yeah.
appropriate to the talk that you're saying.
Thank
And we
you.
talk a little bit about that, like how to manage people, but not only manage, which is like how to be a person, right? Like not
Hmm.
just like clients as clients, but like clients as people that we care for. So before we dive into the super nitty gritty on that, please tell us, how did you get started with your agency?
Yeah. So I am like, I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs where I consider myself like an accidental entrepreneur, which I think in this sort of day, a lot of people do as well. I was working full time in corporate America in COVID, and I was impacted by COVID layoffs. And I got laid off from my job in September of 2020, which was like peak dumpster fire for COVID layoffs. And I spent the next 4 6 weeks applying for like 30, 40 jobs a day. I was writing custom cover letters for every job. I was just like hounding LinkedIn and Indeed. And you would see these postings on LinkedIn that said, posted 2 hours ago, and it was like 280 applicants. And you're like, oh my God, these hiring managers are just never going to even see my resume. There's so many other people that are applying. And so I applied for all these jobs. I spent hours, I mean, like 12 hours a day just hounding job boards. And I didn't hear back from anywhere. I wasn't even hearing no's. I was just hearing silence. And I felt like I had some really good corporate experience that made me an, ideal candidate. And I started to get really frustrated and kind of like down on myself that I just wasn't even hearing back from anywhere. And so after, like I said, about 6 weeks of that, I said, you know what, if no one's going to hire me, then I will hire me. And I started a just like freelancing, and I was doing some social media management. My first client was like my aunt's school district that I was advising on social media strategy, did like 2 calls with them a week. And then I found some clients through like Facebook groups and started doing some stuff for them and some social media. And one of the clients that I found in a Facebook group saw my website, which was made through Squarespace after I watched like 100 hours of Squarespace YouTube videos on how to design anything, anywhere, because I had no design background. And when my client said, your website looks so good, could you make me a website? Which it did not look good. And I was like, I absolutely can do that. And then I'm like, how do you design websites? Like, I had no idea what I was doing. And so I designed a website for her. It was also not great. But I really liked the process. So I ended up buying like a website design course to learn how to do that. And then I started offering social media and website design, which is very odd services to offer sort of like in tandem with one another. People were started asking me for things like email marketing and SEO and Google ads and branding. And I was like, okay, hold on. We're kind of getting outside of the realm of what I can do. I could do all of those things. I have a marketing background. So like the SEO and the email marketing and the advertising piece, I was like, I could probably, make it work, but I was like, I'm not the expert in these areas. So I got to a point where deciding if I wanted to just continue doing the social media website design thing and just raise prices, because I had found a lot of good clients and was, like booked out for like a better term for that, or if I wanted to do that or go an agency route. And I decided to go the agency route. So I just started hiring people that were smarter and better at me than all of these things. And here we are 5 years later. We have 4 full-time employees. We're going to be hiring for 2 more this year. We have like 6 contractors that work for us, from anywhere from like 10 hours a week to like 25 hours a week, depending on the project and on the contractor. So that's where we're at today.
That's crazy. So you got laid off, you had no choice but to do something about it. For 6 weeks, you sent 30 to 40 applications, emails,
A
LinkedIn,
day.
everything per day.
Yeah.
I, I don't even know how to do the math for that. I mean, I know how to do the math for that, but that's a lot of
It was a
reach
lot.
out. Um, I do wonder, like 6 weeks of reaching out to hundreds of people and decide, like a lot of people will be like mad with the world and feel like, the world is being unfair and unjust with them, and they just probably, like go and try to work at a Starbucks or something like that and just be
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm just gonna settle for anything, right? Kind of like in the dating world when people are like burned out and it's like, I just the first person who shows, the first human, I don't know, but the mindset that you had is like, well, if nobody sees the value that I could bring, then I'll just create it myself. It's such a huge like mindset to have. When you started like doing this thing of like hiring me, how do you promote it yourself? Like, as a marketer, as like, because this, it sounds like things kind of, you tried out and people saw it, but how were you actually communicating it at the beginning? I'm just curious.
I think it bounced between so many different things. At the beginning, I was like, I'm a virtual assistant because that is
Mm.
what was buzzing really at the time. This was like virtual assistants had been obviously a job for a while, but this was really like in COVID when that idea really took off. And so a lot of virtual assistants were marketing themselves as a virtual assistant, but then also primarily doing social media. So I jumped on the sort of virtual assistant train because it was a buzzword, but all I was doing was social media marketing. I had never done anything other than that for clients. And so probably like 3 or 4 months later, I said, actually, I'm a social media manager now, which is basically what I was doing the whole time. It's just what I wanted to do. And I figured I saw as I really got into the online space more that people were asking for that thing too. So one of the things that I feel like I've always done in being in business is I'm just like always listening to what everybody has to say. I'm always listening to our clients. I'm listening to potential clients. I'm listening to what people are posting on social media. And then I'm adapting what it is that adapting how we're framing what we're selling to fit what it is that people are looking for. And so when people kept saying they want a virtual assistant that does social media, that's all I was hearing. And I was like, okay, I'll just tell them that I just do social media then,
Mm.
because they're still looking for me. They're just looking for me under a different title. So that's what I sort of positioned myself as then. And then I was a social media manager and website designer, which I had no business ever calling myself a website designer. And then we eventually transitioned to this digital marketing agency.
It's so funny because it's kind of, it seems the, I wouldn't say stereotypical, but it's kind of a good example, I guess, of like the fake it till you make it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like you were like a novice and you understood that you were not an expert of those things, but you were just trying to do something and you figured out as you go. I think the superpower, and you pointed out, there's like always listening and adapting what you do to fit the need that people are doing. I think with artists and creatives, sometimes there's this thing of like, I do this craft and they think the value is in the craft that they do and not in the problem they solve. So it's like if I'm selling illustrations, for example, like people just say, I do illustrations, hire me for illustrations, but they're not listening why people need illustrations. So it's very hard to market. And I think that's the power that you have, like the advantage of listening, paying attention, being conscious of what your surroundings and gathering that information to pivot, although that word has been burned since COVID, but like pivot into a direction that makes sense. In your content, you mentioned that people do a lot of people post stuff without a strategy. You know, in your background is marketing, so you said that without a strategy, people don't get results. You hear back and forth. Some people are saying you just need to post constantly. Like it doesn't matter, just like post, just like share stuff. And other people are just like, no, you need to be strategic about what you post. And other people say quality. Other people say quantity. So you said marketing without a strong foundation is just noise. If if so, maybe the question would be like, what is that foundation like that actually works for marketing in your experience for your clients?
I think all of marketing comes back to actually what you had just said, which is understanding the problem that you're solving for your audience. And we have gone through, I mean, several iterations of that. Even since FlyDog has become an agency, we've changed what the problem is that we're solving to really fit the needs of the consumer. You know, what we were solving 3 years ago is different than what we're solving today with AI and websites being easier and templates being more available. And there's so many other tools and resources that people have now. And it really comes down to what the problem is that you're solving. And like you were saying, it's not illustrations, it's not social media. Nobody is like, hey, I want to pay a social media manager to just post some stuff on social. They're looking for something deeper. They're looking for a connection with their audience. They're looking for more sales. They need something. And so it's finding out what it is that problem that you can solve for them is, and then marketing that problem through having social media. So I think that the first step is really understanding what it is that your audience need and the problem that you're solving for it. And then understanding a customer funnel or a marketing journey at a very basic level. Your marketing funnel starts with awareness of people just being even aware that you exist as a business in the world, to them considering to maybe giving you money to do the thing that you do, to them actually giving you money. So it goes through awareness, consideration, and conversion. And I think a lot of times when people post on social media, they're not tying the post that they have to a stage of the customer journey. And that's how we suggest that clients do it. You hear things about content pillars a lot, and we approach content pillars a little bit differently than I would say like a traditional agency does. Instead of having our content pillars be SEO and website design and education and those sorts of things, our content pillars are awareness, consideration, conversion, which is the exact three sort of main stages of a customer journey. There's a lot more you get through like loyalty and advocacy, but the main stages are those three, right? So instead, we tie all of our marketing efforts to those stages. So what I'm saying in an awareness stage is different than what I'm saying in a conversion stage. Not every post is meant to sell. Some of them are meant to make people aware that we exist as a business. Some of them are meant to have them consider working with us. And so when we look back then at understanding which of those posts are performing well or which of those posts are not performing well, we have a KPI tied to them. So our awareness stage content is meant to reach more people. It's meant to get more eyeballs on it. So we're looking at impressions for those things. I don't really care if somebody DMs us to work with us. I don't really care if somebody clicks through to our website on that post. That isn't the goal of it. The goal is just for them to understand that we exist. Versus the conversion stage, the revenue driving stage of the awareness, all our calls to action are like, click the link in our bio to work with us. DM us if you have questions. It's like a hard sell. So on those posts, they're going to get way bad engagement. No one is going to engage with the salesy post, right? But I don't care. I don't want them to engage with them. I want them to click the link in our bio, to DM us if they have questions. And so we can then see, was this post successful based off of those things? But if I don't have the strategy in place, then I'm just like throwing content out, but I have no way of measuring if any of it is successful. Because I think what so many people look at is just impressions and engagement and followers, and all of those things are great. Those are all metrics we want to look at, but not every single post can getting new followers, get good engagement, drive clicks through to your website. Like it's impossible to be able to do that in one static social media post. So understanding how it more relates to the customer journey is what we suggest for clients, because then it lets us understand, like I said, what is actually performing well based off of defined KPIs before that post even goes live. So that's sort of what I mean by that. Do you feel like it answers the question?
Yeah, it does. It does. And that resurfaces another question that I have in terms of like when you said understanding the problem of our clients, there's two problems that could be addressed, and I'm curious to hear your opinion on this. So there's a problem that the client has, say for example, they need more leads, so they need more sales, whatever. And then there's the problem that they solve for their audience. So when you have a client, you're helping your client help their audience so they can get the thing that they need, right? So when you approach this relationship, I guess, how do you manage both of those expectations, for call it, or like the KPIs maybe, when you do your marketing? So let me put you an example. Maybe it's like might make it more clear for people who are listening. Say I'm a visual note taker, right? So I go to conferences and I help the people that I help are event planners, right? So I talk to them on how what I do helps them have a successful event. But sometimes I'm like, well, if they want to look good to their audience, like if they want the audience to love them for bringing visual notes to their event, should I be talking about the problem that the audience is facing, which is like maybe they're not engaging, or maybe they're like forgetting the content or stuff like that? Should I talk to the event planner, or should I talk about the problems that the audience, the event planner, is serving? That's the question that sometimes I'm kind of like back and forth when I'm doing my content. So what's your take on that? If it's both, it's fine, but what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think that really lays out like the customer journey a little bit too, in terms of what is somebody going to make them like interested in. So I'll give the answer back to the example that you gave. So in my awareness content, because I want to get the purchaser, who's going to be the person who's putting on the event, interested in my content, what they're probably most interested in their head is, how can my event be better? Like, I want my job to do better. I want people to be more engaged, to write better reviews. Like, that is what they're mostly concerned with. So in the awareness stage, I might have a lot of my content focusing around that problem, versus when they're about time, or they're trying to decide if they want to give me money to do this thing or not. Do they want to book me? Here's our budget. Is this thing worth it or not? At that stage, I might want to say, here are all of the great reasons what your audience is going to see from it. They're going to be more engaged. They're going to share that content more because they're going to remember it more. It's going to be better for your event in the long run, those sorts of things. And then the conversion stage, I'd be like, book. Here's how you can get in touch with me. Here's what my availability is. So I would hit on both of those a little bit. And you might notice that one piece of content or one pain point that you're hitting on is getting way more engagement or way more comments or whatever than the other. And then I would just tailor it to do that instead. But the first step that we do with all of our clients in our onboarding stage, our onboarding is about 4 weeks. We do tons of audience research and tons of competitor research to understand, like, what is somebody going to do to actually make a purchase? What actually matters to them? Is it that they want to have a better event, or is it that they want their audience to have a better event? I think most people are kind of thinking about number one and like, how can my event be better? But their audience having a better time also makes the event better. So I think it's helping to like educate them through that whole thing on what you do. Yeah, that'd be my answer.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if you're a visual note taker like me and are listening, take notes, because I see this all the time. People saying like, visual notes are awesome. So what, right? Like, talk to the people who are actually going to hire you and why they should hire you. So delineating that is like, the main client is the person who's actually going to hire you, right? Like, that's the person who's going to hire you. That's the person you should talk from the first place.
I also
what I'm
think,
hearing. Yeah.
I was going to say, I also think that a lot of times people aren't, I don't think they even know that visual note taking exists as an option a lot of the times, right? So they're not like, let me find a visual note taker. They certainly might be, but I think more often than not, they're looking for ways that their event can stand out more, that they can have more people come back, that more people are going to share it, all these things, right? And so that's the problem that they're solving. How that gets solved, not that it doesn't matter, but that's just the problem they want. And if you can introduce it as visual note taking as being the solution, then let's do that. The way that we try and tell our clients, a lot of times people ask us about like, should they post on social media or should they invest in some like SEO or a Google ad strategy? Like, where is the best place for them to be? And we always come back to like, is this something that people are going to be actively searching for? Or do you need to educate them on what this service and offering is? And this is a great example of it, where I am sure, are people that are searching for visual note taker for conferences, but and that's a great search for SEO, right? They know what they want. They just need to find somebody that can offer it. Versus social media is a great place to be posting if they just have a pain point, but they don't exactly know what the solution to that pain point is. The way that we sort of describe it to our clients is SEO and Google ads is more of like a looking something up in the yellow pages, where you're like, this is what I need. I just got to find the person that is in my area that can do it. Versus social media is like seeing something on a billboard where you're like, I was not going to stop at McDonald's. However, I need to get gas. And wow, a Diet Coke actually does sound really good right now. And it's also at the next exit. I'll go to that because this is solving a problem that I saw it at the right place at the right time with the right messaging. And that makes me want to get it. So that's also might be another way of deciding like where you should invest some of your marketing time and your marketing energy, is thinking through what people actually need. And if they're searching for you specifically, or if they're searching for a problem, but they don't necessarily know the solution to that problem.
Mm-hmm. I've said this to people before in my workshops, that we are one way our clients can solve whatever problem they have. And I hesitate to say like, I am the only way you can save it, because that's just not true. Like the conversations that I have with clients is like to determine if we're a good fit if this could help them. And then I usually ask, clients, what else have you considered besides working with me? Because that gives me an understanding of what they value, right? And they
Mm-hmm.
might have something else that might work better, for their event. And that's their right to choose it, right? I'm not gonna be like forcing them to hire me just because I feel like my thing is just the best thing, right? So there's that, like, just giving people the options, like, always open for them to choose whatever they feel is the best. And if there's another thing that could work out for them but they choose me, the relationship is even better because it's based on choice, right? It's not based on pushy techniques or anything like that, which is a very human, relationship kind of thing. Which gives us a segue to the next question that I wanted to ask, because when we met at Creative South, we talked a lot about like the obsession with the client experience, and I would love to know what are 3 things that you have implemented in your agency to cultivate that client experience, those moments of like, oh, this person is really nice. It's not just like giving me work and just like sending me stuff, but it's actually somebody that cares for me. And yeah, and I don't know if you already read the hospitality, how was it called? A reasonable hospitality book, but it's there in the table. I actually didn't finish it. I recommend it to you. I haven't finished it, but it's pretty good. Anyway, I'm deviating. What are like 3 things or key things maybe that you can share that you do in your agency to improve that client experience? If you've made it this far in the conversation, it probably means that you're liking what you're hearing. And in that case, I'm going to ask you a very, very small but very meaningful favor. Would you please share this episode and tag me on Instagram? See, I cannot hear you. I cannot see you. The only way that I can know if I'm doing something right is if I get feedback from you. And sharing these things with other people, it's a great way for me to understand that I'm doing something right. So it helps me keep going, and it also gives me the fuel to keep pushing the boundaries and doing way better things. So thank you so much for listening. And now let's go back to the show.
Yeah, I think it starts with like from the moment that they try to inquire with you, what does that look like? Are you getting back to them quicker? Do you have an automated email that goes back? Is it some standard email? How are you following up? Are you feeling excited? Are you just sending them a link and saying, would love to chat, book a call? Or are you actually doing some sort of personalization? So anytime we get an inquiry on our website, I always, of course, check out the business beforehand. I'll look through their LinkedIn profile, try and find something that feels exciting and worth mentioning. We also are quite picky about the clients that we work with. And so if I genuinely feel like it's not the right fit for us based off of what they wrote in their inquiry form, because we do have several questions that they have to answer in the inquiry form that help us understand more about their business and their marketing goals. Or if they don't fill those out in a detailed way, if they, don't have a good looking website or whatever it is, depending on what service they're trying to do with us, we'll advise them to work with somebody different. So if we are going to be reaching back out, it's because we are genuinely excited. And I make sure that they feel that in the message that they get back from us immediately to really just kick things off on the right foot. After that, again, just like client experience from day one, they get a proposal from me super quickly after we work together. And I also tell them on our consultation call, like, if I don't think we're the right agency to solve the problem that you're trying to solve, I'll refer you to somebody different. Like I really want to make sure the clients that we work with are not only the right clients for us, but that we're the right agency for you. And so I think that those sort of like honesty conversations and transparency right away helps to, again, just sort of set the stage. I think the big thing that's really helped us is the onboarding that we do in really understanding the client's target audience, their business, their competition, their positioning, all of it. And I think a lot of other agencies don't do that. And I think most clients aren't used to the lengthy onboarding process that we have. It's kind of overwhelming for them sometimes. But when they get through it and they see how all of this is going to make us successful, they appreciate that they also had to put in the work for this partnership to be successful, because it feels more like a partnership then, and not just like we're doing things, here you go. And they're like, oh, it looks like fine, or whatever, but they see how everything that they've provided us, we have taken that information and created something that feels really uniquely them. So we spend a lot of time in the beginning there. And then I think just the whole time they're working with us, one of our company values is making every client feel like our only client. So regardless of their size and their investment level with us, we reply to their emails quite quickly. Everything feels very fresh and very unique to them. Nobody ever receives content, if it's a logo, if it's a website, if it's social media, if it's a blog post, if it's an email, like nothing that we ever produce looks like it could just be copied and pasted to another brand. They all feel like it sounds like them, it looks like them, and we just really put in the time to make sure that they feel that. So I think it's treating your clients like people and understanding that any business that you work with, that business owner is so dedicated to that business. If they're a big business, if they're a small business, like this is always so important to them. Not only is this their job, but this is what they've like invested their time and several years and sacrifices with family and whatever to like grow this business. So making sure that they feel like it's going to be handled with care, I think is something that puts us on the right foot from day one. And they just really feel that.
That's amazing. So you mentioned check out how you respond, like since the first contact, right? Like not like an automated email necessarily, but something that you do your research and you answer back knowing something about them already, which is just going above and beyond. Most people just kind of respond just like, yes, I'm available and let's get on a call right away, right? So that's fantastic. And then you mentioned adding the being picky and being genuinely excited about working with them. That I feel like is, you cannot fake that. Like you cannot fake excitement. You cannot fake interest. It will come out as like, I don't know, it will come out dry, just disingenuine. And I don't think it sets the stage for a good relationship, right? So it's great that you actually kind of like go into their profile and see like, what is exciting about these people? Do I really want to work with them? Are they a good fit? And then when you mention like, if we are not a good fit, we're happy to tell them. Just I was smiling when you were saying that, because I remember this episode from Friends when they're like, I think on an airplane or something like that, and something happens like, is there anybody a doctor? And I don't remember who it was, but says like, he is a doctor, because Ross is a doctor, but he's a doctor in anthropology or whatever. It's like not being the right doctor. Somebody just comes to you and be like, oh, I heard you were a doctor, can you help me with this? It's like, well, I'm a doctor for people with marketing stuff, not for
Yes.
some other stuff. So just laughing at my own jokes. And then you mentioned lengthy onboarding. You mentioned you work for like 4 weeks. Is that the onboarding, or is that the term of like the whole engagement generally?
That's the onboarding period is about 4 weeks. So the first week of it, our clients are filling out these questionnaires for us, giving us access to things, all that stuff. We usually spend about 2 weeks then doing like diving into all those forms, doing our own additional research and just putting together our general strategy for whatever engagement it is that we're going to be working with them on. And then in our last week, we present that and go through any revisions and things. So our like a deep dive research phase is 2 weeks, but from the time that they sign their contract to the time that they get a first draft of logos to the time that they have their first social media post goes live, whatever it is about 4 weeks, so that we have enough time to make sure we can do our best work
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
This is not quick fixes. This is people who are committed to like framing the thing right, putting it in the oven, letting it, leaven and grow and be delicious. This is called fresh
And
ideas, so
turning
that's why
down
the metaphors. Yeah.
Yeah, turning
Turn
down clients that aren't that is tough, and
it.
I think it's something that you get to a point in business when you're first starting out where you're like, anything and everyone will take it because we have to have business somehow. I need to make money to keep this thing afloat. And then as you like find your niche a little bit. We don't have like an industry niche. We more have a niche in the sense of what our clients are looking for and the problem that we're solving, and a little bit on who it is and what it looks like, but it's not necessarily industry. It more has to do with the business, and like what stage of business they're in. But oh my God, I forgot where I was going with all of this. I can't even remember the question now. You didn't ask a question.
No,
I
you
was
were like,
rambling. Oh, turning down clients. That's what I was going to
yeah.
say. We get to a point now where we don't we don't need the clients to stay afloat. We have a great roster of clients. We're continuing to add to it for the right fit. We're not just like desperate for any client. We can pick the clients within the niche that we have that they're going to be a good fit for. And it's a luxury to have when you get to that point in business, you know. But the clients that we do turn down, we always make sure that like I give some sort of referral or reference to who might be a better fit if it's not us that can work with them. Because I think that that all still relates back to the client experience. It might be that they're just at an earlier stage of business than clients we're looking for right now, or have a lower budget or whatever it is. But I want them to remember us in, you know,
Yeah.
6 months, a year, 3 years, when they are ready to work with an agency like ours, that they're remember that they had this great experience with FlyDog, and they all businesses know other businesses. So they might know someone who is within our target audience, and that person might ask them for a referral. And I want them to still keep us in a really positive light, even if I said you're not the right fit for us to work with at this time. But I will hear people that I trust, that I'm confident passing to you, that can help solve the problem that you're looking for. And I think all of that relates back to a client experience. Even if they're not a paying client, they're a potential client, it still is a factor.
Do you follow up with them after a while? Like, because there's some people who might not be a good fit now, but may be a good fit in the future. Like they just need a quick solution right now, but they see the value in what you bring. Do you follow up, or do you kind of like focus on your clients and let them come back if they need you?
I think it depends on the situation. There are a couple clients who we have in our lead tracker system who've been in there for like 2 years, and I am like desperate to work with them. And I know that we're the right solution. They're just not ready for what it is that we do just yet. But every 6 months or so, I'll kind of pop back into their inbox. But then there's other clients who I don't. So I think it depends on, it's just a really case by case, situation by situation.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some that I do follow up with. But others, I always assume there have been a couple that we worked with very early on in business who then came back to us, and we do their SEO for now. And it was 3 years before they first worked with us to when they come back now. But they had a great experience the first time, and they've come back and they've referred us a ton of people. And I always try and make sure that we're just like doing right by other people so that people know we're like a trusted agency. I think the other hard part with marketing agencies is a lot of times what we hear from our clients is they used to work with another marketing agency. Now they work with us. We always ask them about their experience in working with another marketing agency. And we ask them how things were going. Were you seeing results? Were you getting leads? And they would say, I don't know. And I'm like, oh my God, how do you not know? And so I want them to know, even from, like I said, from the minute that they get into the FlyDog sphere, that we're going to be super honest. We're going to share with them everything that we actually think. We're not going to sugarcoat anything. And I think that turning clients down in that way too gives that whole same experience of just like authenticity and trust, and less of these like gimmicks that I feel like some agencies market themselves on.
Yeah. That's amazing. Like from being in a position first where you were just kind of like taking almost like anything that came your way because you had the situation where you needed to, have some income, and then figure out how to build it. Now you're in a position in which you can choose and be strategic about who you work with. Just out of curiosity, it's like short question. Now, how many clients do you usually work at the same time with?
We usually have about 4 branding website projects going on at any given time at various stages of the project. And then I think right now we have, I want to say about 18 retainer clients. It might be a little bit more than that. Yeah. So we're at a point where as an agency, we either need to hire again, or we'll just close our books for the time being. We'll probably hire again, but we keep it relatively small so that we can give that client experience every single time to everybody. And we're not just like a volume agency.
Yeah, that's good. Let's pivot a little bit, because I am a firm believer that anybody who has done great things, which in your case I see this as a great thing, and in 5 years it's huge. I believe that nobody does it alone. Like, we all stand in the shoulders of giants, and there's somebody along the way who has being gracious with their time, their advice, their energy, their referrals, their talent, whatever. So who is a coach, a mentor, or teacher in your life, or maybe in this past few years, that has from your perspective, it feels like it's been pivotal in the success that you've had in your company right now? And what's like one thing maybe that they taught you that sticks with you?
I hired my first coach this year. So I didn't have, I've never had I've never had any type of business coach before that. I think that some of the other people who have been really like FlyDog champions for us have just been some of our other clients. There's a couple clients that we know that have referred us tens of thousands of dollars of business. And it's because we provide them with a good experience and they genuinely enjoy working with us and they want other people to also have those same experiences. And so there are a lot of people that do sort of get our name out for us and have helped us grow. But truly a majority of those people are clients that we've worked with, that we've come in contact with through networking or social media or referrals of other people. So, but the business coach that I have now has been really great. It's really helped me to think about marketing just in a slightly different way. I hired a business coach who is a marketing agency owner. So they do almost the same exact services that we offer. They also do video production, which we don't do. But other than that, they do all the same services that we do. He just owns an agency that I aspire to be. They're a little bit bigger. They do more revenue. They have still a small team. They also really take care of their clients. They're really focused on solving pain points. And so I hired someone that I wanted to be, or that I really admire rather than maybe like a traditional business coach. And it's been really great. He's really encouraged us to think about our niche in a little bit of a different way. And the way that we think about it is I think everybody thinks of niches as like industry niches, but if our niche is more, if somebody says, this is the problem that I'm having, what is that problem? What are they going to say that they're going to phrase for somebody who they're talking to say, you need to work with FlyDog? Are they saying our current social media agency is not producing us any leads? Are they saying that they don't feel like it's producing an emotional connection? Are they embarrassed by it? Are they looking for someone who understands like hotel marketing? And that is what they're looking to do. But like, what are they going to say to somebody that says, I need someone that this thing? And what is that thing? And then how can we tie ourselves to that? So it's helped me rethink of a niche of a little bit, because like I said, I don't want to have an industry niche. I like that we work with a bunch of niches, but it gives us a little bit of a niche and a different mindset.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Instead of somebody saying, I'm hungry, like saying specifically like, I don't know, I need gluten-free something, whatever. So like when somebody
Exactly.
expresses that specific thing, you show up. That's good. That's good. I have never thought about it that way. So thanks for mentioning that. We're almost at the end of our interview today, and there's a few more things that I would like to ask you. One is kind of your role as in the things that you volunteer and the things that you give back. So there's business, right? The things that we do in exchange for money, in very blunt terms, because we also do, for care for people. But there's also things that we just do because we just like to give back. And I saw recently that you were volunteering with Creative Mornings. Is that still going on? Okay, cool. Because I attend Creative Mornings here in Atlanta. So very briefly, like what is Creative Mornings and what made you join? And what's been something that you've discovered maybe about yourself or about something that you've learned since you've joined?
Yeah, the Creative Mornings is a nonprofit organization that is nationwide. I think they also are like worldwide, actually, but they have quite a few chapters throughout the United States. So if you're located in the United States, I would highly look up to see what the one is in your city. And they put on monthly free sort of like breakfast speaker events. So there's usually like coffee or something, and then there's a speaker. It's ours are on Friday mornings. I'm not sure when other people do theirs, but ours are on the last Friday of every month in Indianapolis. And they're all free, and it just is a great way to get together with other creative people. Their Creative Mornings big thing is that everybody is creative. You don't have to be a designer, you don't have to be a social media manager, but like hairdressers are creative and tattoo artists are creative and people operations is creative because they're coming with creative solutions and these sorts of things. So I am the volunteer marketing director there. It's an entire the only people that get paid are the headquarters for Creative Morning. So all the local chapters are all volunteer run. And I've really gotten to be just more ingrained in the Indianapolis community here. It's one of the things that I wanted to do was just to be more involved in the creative local community. And I felt like that was always really missing working for yourself and working at home. And you go to coffee shops, you don't like meet a bunch of people there. And so this was a really great way to just meet other creatives and learn from those people about what makes them creative. Just kind of like open the doors a little bit to our city. So I've really enjoyed the time with them, and everybody in that organization is just so kind.
Yeah, yeah, it is awesome. I've been helping out with doing visual notes. In here in Atlanta, they do it every other month, and so what they do is one month it's Friday morning, and then next month is a Thursday night. So it's like a different sort of event, more like workshop instead of like speaking,
Mhm.
like a speaker. So, but it's always cool to see like the breadth of people, like the diversity of people who join in, and the topics also. It's like one of the things for me as somebody who came from Costa Rica, to the United States, is like, okay, I need to know people, I need to meet people. And I couldn't go to Creator Mornings for a long time because I was living in Savannah. It was the only one closest was in Atlanta. And then I had a job, and then a bunch of things, and then COVID. And finally, when I was able to join in, part of the things that I've learned, and I don't know if this resonates with you, is like when you go as somebody who just attends, like you get a lot of value from it because you learn, right? And you maybe network a little bit, you talk with some people who are interested, you get free breakfast and all that. But when you actually volunteer, the amount of value that you get is way more. And I tend to tell people that, especially if you're introverted and you have a hard time introducing yourself to people, when you volunteer, because you have a task, it's so much easier to make connections because people reach out to you for help instead of you having to reach out to them. So just like life hack in there. But it's
Yeah.
awesome. We'd love to do some collaborations eventually. Um, well, we're getting almost done, and we'll have one last question that is tactical. So let's be brief with it, and get people, if they want to know more, to check out what you do. And the other one is just a personal one. So the tactical, there's so many places to do marketing. Podcasts like this, website, social media, ads, SEO, whatever you want, billboards. So most of my audience are solopreneurs, freelancers or people who have their own business, and it's just kind of themselves. What should a creative solopreneur who doesn't have like a lot of resources, maybe you're starting, where should they focus to get the most business from your
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think there's two things to consider with that. The first thing is who's the audience, like we've talked about, and where are they spending their time? We talked a little bit about like the SEO versus social media angle. I think a lot of people feel really pressured to go to networking events. I personally love going to networking events. I could just talk all day long to everybody and anybody that would listen. And I really like meeting people in person. And I live in a mid-sized city, so I have the opportunity to be able to do those things. But if going to networking events makes your skin crawl and that isn't your vibe, or you live in a smaller city that might not have a lot, like spend the time that's going in on the marketing activities that you think are going to be the most successful for you based off of where your audience is spending their time, how it is that they might be looking for somebody like you. Are you working with other solopreneurs who generally are going to ask other solopreneurs for referrals? If so, go to networking events. Are you looking for bigger clients who might be looking at ChatGPT for answers or Googling things for answers? Then spend your time on SEO. Are you working with clients that are, again, smaller businesses, are active on social media? These big, massive companies aren't finding people on social media. That's not where they're looking, So I think it's understanding where your audience is going to look for to find what it is that you do, or someone that does what it is that you do, and go in on those, but also make sure it still feels like a good fit for you. If you hate social media, don't spend the time on social media. You can't be in every single place and do every single marketing activity. So do what's going to work best for you that you can feel really committed to, because like anything, marketing is going to take several months of the same thing to see results from it. So you can't just go to one networking and say, this isn't going to work. You can't just post 4 times on social and say, nobody reached out, I'm done. So whatever you think is going to be a solid 6 months of effort that you can commit to, do that thing.
That's so key. Be patient and persistent. Yeah. And then at some point, maybe hire somebody like Carly to help you out if your capacity.
If you really hate it, then just hire someone.
Yeah, definitely. Well, last one before we jump off. When you're not, well, you mentioned a few things at the beginning of our call, but maybe there's something else that you haven't mentioned there. When you're not working on your agency or running Ironmans, what are some like simple things that you enjoy that make you truly, truly happy?
Yeah, I'm in a big sourdough era right now as well. So I make a lot of sourdough bread. I think I like, because I sit at a desk a lot of the day, I like doing things that sort of like get me up and get me out. And I talk to a lot of my a lot of my time as CEO is doing calls with other people. I'm talking a lot. I'm interfacing with a lot of people, either virtually or in person. So I like doing things that give me a little bit of me time. My sourdough gives me a little bit of me time. Training gives me a little bit of me time, and like being able to decompress and kind of like be just with my own thoughts for a little bit of time is what I personally like doing. And then I'm a huge foodie, so I'm always going out to different bars, different restaurants, that sort of stuff. We work with a lot of hospitality clients as well. So I like going out and seeing what these places look like. And I'm like, should I make some content and post it on my social media? Or, you know, like, what are they doing on their social media? How does it vary from what is the experience is like? So I feel like there's always things that I'm tying back to business. So those are usually the small things I do. I guess training isn't small, but it's an outside of work activity.
Yeah, definitely. But it definitely probably helps you a lot, the discipline of it. You seem like a very disciplined person. Like since the moment that I started talking with you, it's like this, like she's not somebody who just procrastinate a project for years. It's just like, just go and do the thing, or get somebody who helped me do the thing. So really appreciate that about you and all the amazing, insights that you've given today. Where can people find you?
Yeah, I am. We're taking a little bit of a break from our own social media while we go through a little bit of a rebrand ourselves. But hopefully, in the next like month or two, by the time people start listening to this, hopefully be right around the time it'll be like September, October of 2025. We'll be active back on social media, so they can find us on LinkedIn, they can find us on Instagram. Our handle is FlyDog Digital. They can follow me, Carly Kerndt, on LinkedIn or on Instagram. I have my own Instagram as well. And yeah, those would be probably the two main places. As a primarily social media agency, we're usually pretty active on social.
Amazing. Thank you, Carly, again. And I look forward to seeing that rebranding. Yeah, this episode is going to be out maybe November, October, November.
Perfect. So by the time people see it, we should hopefully have just a slight refresh.
Yeah, amazing. Cool. Well, thanks so much, Carly. See ya.
Thank you.
That's all for today's episode. Thank you, Carly, for sharing with us tips of what to do when no one hires you, the strategies to market yourself, going from provider to partner, and how to turn clients into champions. And thank you for listening to the Fresh Ideas podcast, where we believe that artists who pair their craft with business knowledge never starve. And that's why we bring experts to share and reveal the recipes for success so you can try them today in your business. Until next time, pura vida.